Father, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and everyone before me has always told me, you know, back when I was your age, we had to walk to school both ways uphill in the snow. You know, back in my day, we didn't have all those fancy moving images on the screen. We had to go out and read books. But you know what? I don't care. I'm young, I'm fun, I like to go out and I like to have a good time. And there's nothing that these old farts can tell me that's going to change my mind. That's why Wordsworth always said, by the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he usually has a son who thinks he's wrong. You know, growing up, I was a crazy kid, always going to rock and roll shows and not doing what I was supposed to do. And I thought I knew everything there was to know. I thought, you know, these old guys, they don't know how to have a good time. All they want to do is work, work, work. And by the time they're ready to die, they won't have anything to show for it. You don't get to take your money to the grave, so what's the point? And you know what? My father, in the exact opposite position, was probably thinking, you know, that Jason kid, he really doesn't have his head on straight. What's he gonna go? Like, what's his point in life? And I think the thing that we need to realize is that both of us are right, and that compromise should always be met somewhere in the middle. I personally agree with this quotation because of the generation gaps. We don't ever necessarily see eye to eye with the people that came before us, and we probably won't see eye to eye with the people that are going to come after us. I have three major points: the generation gap, the personality views, and the personal views. Now, starting with the generation gap, with each generation becomes new and unique challenges that meet that generation. For example, the people of the 1920s end up saving a ton of trash because back in their day, they didn't know when the next meal was going to come around or if they had to make clothes or newspaper or assorted such. So when they look at the kids these days that are throwing around their plastic bottles and throwing out clothes because it's just not cool or stylish or whatever, you know, they look at our generation and say, man, these kids have no idea what they're talking about. However, our current generation look back and say, man, those old guys, they have no idea what's up. While encountering these different problems, we've learned that, you know, with the technology and the changing of these generations comes a lot of different unique viewpoints that which we can all learn from. Along with those generation gaps, there's also personality gaps. Within those generations, every person is a little bit different. Everyone sees things a little bit differently, and we might not see eye to eye on everything. And as long as we continue to kind of look for level ground, I feel like we could really even out with everything. So even though Wordsworth said, by the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he usually has a son who thinks he's wrong, it's more about the continuous struggle to see eye to eye with, you know, the coming of times and the times that have passed. Thank you.
All right, I like the character voice that you use as your attention device, and you've got a nice personal experience that you're talking about there. The topic's identified. I'm wondering where you're going with the topic, and it's actually quite a while into the speech before you finally get to, you know, a thesis that you have. Once you got there, I thought that was a pretty clear thesis. That's a reasonable way to go about it. You preview what the supporting points are going to be. I'm not sure that you've really thought them out very completely because they sound a little similar to each other, and you don't really develop detailed examples on each of them. The first one, you come up with a couple of examples. I thought that it worked okay. The ones that came after that did not develop the same way, and it just felt a little bit like we were kind of on a like the hamster wheel still spinning, just trying to get to the next point instead of being, making some progress there. But structurally, it was easy to follow. The content was okay. You've got an idea that you're getting to, so I think that you did okay developmentally wise with the presentation. Presentation issues. Your voice is really solid. Like I said, I like the character voice you have at the beginning. You're smooth about the presentation, all those sorts of things. The negative things, you've got the pacing thing still going on where all of your nervous energy is coming out back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, instead of being put into deliberately stepping forward to emphasize a point or movement. Now we're to a different transition, different idea. It's just random caged tiger sort of thing, and that's where your energy's coming out, and I think that's a little bit problematic. Usually your eye contact is solid, but part of the problem is when you're pacing, you're always kind of shifting your attention away from the audience and you don't engage. Now, I haven't picked on anybody about this. You just gave me that perfect opportunity to do so. We talked a little bit about appearance issues. It's like you violated 4 of the criteria that I told you to watch out for about your appearance. Look like you know that you're going to give a speech. Wear real shoes, wear the big boy pants, put on a full shirt, lose the hat. That's just my... Talk about a generation gap. Here you go. That's one of those things. It's like one of those things. I understand, you're casual, you got the rest of your day to go through, but you did have to give a speech today. You knew there was a chance that was going to happen. I think this would be one of those places where you could make just a little bit of effort to compromise and say, you know what, let's I'll wear my jeans and another shirt here, and take your hat off when you stand up to speak. That's all. All right, thank you.